What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. We found out today that the Jets defense had a players-only meeting. Are things actually going to change? Let's talk about it. Jermaine Johnson is officially back this week. Thank goodness. I'm glad that Jermaine Johnson is back. Hopefully he's healthy enough to have an impact. And he was speaking with the media today, and he stated that the Jets had a players-only meeting for the defense.
Just taking full accountability, 100%. I mean, we had a players-only meeting, and just everybody was on the same page. Like, we have to be better. We can't be the reason we lose. That can't happen. And we have too much talent, and you just gotta. Coach AG has had our back in terms of how he's run this thing, instilling certain culture in here, and we got to have his back by putting a good product out there. That's our job. So we definitely take full accountability, and we're just talking about what we need to do different heading in this week and utilizing this full week out here, so to say, like another week of camp within the season. We get blessed to have that. So just utilizing this time and definitely putting a good product on the field on Sunday.
He says we have to play better. We can't be the reason we lose. Aaron Glenn has our back. We have to have his back. And he's right. I think for the most part, Aaron Glenn absolutely has had his players back. And they can't be the reason that they lose games. But right now they are. That's a big issue for why they're losing football games. They've played 5 so far this year. In 3 of those games, they've given up 30 points or more in 3 out of the 5. That's 60% of games. That number is way too high. For context, when the Jets in 2022 had one of their best defenses going, they did it only one time the entire year, and it was early on in the season before they really hit their stride. In fact, from week 4 through the end of the year, they held opponents to 20 points or less 11 times. They were a dominant unit. The Jets, through 5 games this year, has not held an opponent to 20 points or less even one time. And I don't see that changing anytime soon unless something drastic happens with this defense. And it was really not saying that my expectation was for this Jets team to hold opponents to 20 points or less 11 times, but it's more so showing how much of a fall off it's really been. 3 years ago, this was one of the best defenses in the NFL. Now they're one of the league's worst. And Jermaine Johnson's right to an extent. They do have talent. Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Sauce. Those are 4 good players. And I get it. Sauce Gardner's struggling. Will McDonald hasn't had a sack since week 1. JJ's been out, but those are 4 pretty good football players. And unfortunately for the Jets, guys like Jamie Sherwood, Andre Sisco, Michael Carter, Brandon Stevens, guys that they paid decent money to, have all underperformed. There were guys that they would be hoping that would be in that good player category, and they're not. They're average to below average. Honestly, all 4 of those guys have played below average. And it might be bizarre to hear because I don't think he's been great, but of the 4, Brandon Stevens has probably been the best of those 4 guys. Sisco has not been good. Jamie Sherwood's not been good. And Michael Carter was virtually unplayable. And, it's really hard to have success on defense that way. And, and the guys beyond that, the list that I gave you, they're all essentially replacement level NFL players beyond on the defensive line, guys like Briggs and Phillips. Those 2 are like decent role players, but do they have decent role players at linebacker? Their depth at safety, edge. Oh my God, what a disaster that positional group has been. Like, okay, you have AZ Thomas. You haven't really played him at all. Malachi Moore has gotten limited snaps, wasn't good in the slot. Hopefully he moves back to safety. Can Jarvis Brownlee show something this week? They're going to need some of these depth guys to step up and make plays if they want to change this thing around. All right, my sleeper picks for this game. I got 3 picks. Mason Taylor, more than 3.5 receptions. J.K. Dobbins, more than 60-plus rush yards. And Troy Franklin, more than 38.5 receiving yards. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And there's a new offer right now, a free $20 no deposit required promo they're running. Terms and conditions apply. Sign up using promo code O'Leary. And I think their defense and depth just kind of got exposed with the 2 injuries early on in the year. Quincy Williams and Jermaine Johnson at linebacker and edge. And beyond that, kind of knew the safety room wasn't very good going into the year. And they've been just that. They've been one of the weaker links on this Jets defense. And, the stats back it up. It's going to be ugly, but I have some stats for you that, it's nice for them to say these things and realize what the problem is, but they have to fix the problem. Like, it's pretty bad right now. The Jets defense ranks 29th in EPA per play. That's a bottom 4 defense in the league by EPA. Sack percentage, 4.4%, is 25th in the league. 0 interceptions is tied for last in the NFL. The strangest stat of them all, really, overall success percentage is 40.79%, which ranks them 6th in the NFL, which is towards the top of the league, obviously. But what does that tell you? To me, that says that it's a handful of plays that are costing them every week and a handful of mistakes. And talking about mistakes, I mean, missed tackles. They have 49 missed tackles on the year through 5 games. They're tied with the Cincinnati Bengals for most in the NFL. They don't get pressure on the quarterback either. 15.1%, third worst in the NFL pressure percentage. Pressure leads to sacks. Pressure leads to bad throws. Pressure leads to turnovers. I know I like sacks too. The sack numbers have to be better, but I don't want to, sit here and say that pressure doesn't mean anything or that it's, a flawed stat. It does matter. When you get pressure on the quarterback, it forces mistakes on offenses, and there are no mistakes. They have all day to throw. Someone gets open. They can't, cover all day long, and, it's death by 1,000 cuts, and that has to change. They're not going up against an elite offense this week. Denver's a good team. They run the ball really well. They have a quarterback who can run the ball too. They have a really, really good defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL. But they're not, it's not the 99 Rams here we're talking about, the greatest show on turf. It's like the 18th best offense in the NFL. They're okay. They're an okay offense, Denver. Can you play with some pride? Can this be the game that you hold an opponent to 20 points or less? I don't have any faith in them doing it. They have to actually go out there and prove it to me for me to come out and, predict that it would happen. But, if this is just another week for the Jets defense to give up 30 points and have 1 million missed tackles and have 10 plus penalties, then I don't like all this talk again is good. I'm glad you're saying it, but you actually have to put, whatever steps in order here to fix the problems. Guys, that'll do it for me. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.